Several years ago, when I was learning Cinema 4D, and like many of you, I would go on YouTube, look at little tutorials, and then post it on my Instagram, right? And then a creative director that I've worked with before saw this, and he messaged me saying, "Hey, Alan, I've got this upcoming 3D animation project for Meta, so as in Facebook, right? And I need help with the 3D animation part of it." And I was like in my head, well, I'm just a beginner. I don't really know what I'm doing with the software. But anyway, I decided to say yes anyway. Screw it. Say yes, I can do it. Let's go. So what happened next was that in the next 8 weeks, I was up 12 hours every day and also on weekend working on this project because mainly I was spending a lot of time on YouTube to learn what I need to do to execute the creative direction, right? I didn't know what I was doing. But despite that, the project ended up a success, and I ended up with a fantastic piece of portfolio. So another story that happened before I was a motion designer when I was trying to become a filmmaker. When I was learning how to use a camera, learning lighting, I had no idea what I was doing with anything, zero. And I had this opportunity to film this little commercial for a crypto company in Hong Kong. It's closed down now, but at the time they offered me a bit of money to do it, and I just said yes, despite the fact that I had no idea what I was doing. But what ended up happening was that I spent half of that budget in hiring a very, very experienced cinematographer who helped me set up all the lights. Who gave me tips on the day on what to do. And in both scenarios, the Meta and also the crypto company advert, I was getting paid to learn on the job, which was fantastic. And this has always been my approach to my creative career. I always said yes before I know what I was doing, and then I would just learn on the job. And has this ever gotten me into trouble? Yes, several times, but overall, it has given me more positive results than negative. And at the end of the day, I keep saying yes because I trust myself that I will put in the work into delivering the best results possible for my clients, whether if that is to work 12 hours per day to learn how to do the thing or hire someone else who knows how to do the thing for me. And that brings me into the topic of imposter syndrome because this attitude of saying yes before you're ready is in many ways the opposite of imposter syndrome. So, imposter syndrome is where you feel like you're never ready. I see a lot of this manifest in your social media profiles and also in how you present yourself as a creative professional, especially if you're kind of starting out, if you're a beginner. I see on your Instagram bios, for example, a lot of you say that you're an aspiring graphic designer, aspiring filmmaker, aspiring motion designer, etc., fill in the blank of what applies to you. And with all of these professions that I just listed, you don't actually need a professional degree to tell you if you're already a photographer or filmmaker or videographer, etc. As long as you have created a piece of film, a piece of video, a piece of illustrations, a piece of photography, you can actually call yourself that already. Now, whether or not if you're any good at your craft, that's a different question. You might be a bad photographer, but you're still a photographer, right? You can still call yourself that, really. And the catch 22 in this situation is that if you keep calling yourself an aspiring fill in the blank, it actually impedes you from becoming that. Because in order to become a creative professional, someone has to pay you for your creative act. You need a client, right? And put yourself in the shoes of a client. If you're a client, would you want to hire someone who calls himself an aspiring photographer? Or would you just hire a photographer, for example? So, anyway, my rant is about if you want to become a creative professional, you have to say yes before you're ready, trusting yourself that you will put in the 12-hour days and doing the all-nighters and doing whatever possible you can to get the project done. And a big part of that is how you present yourself. You need to remove that imposter syndrome in terms of how you present yourself to the world. Say yes before you're ready.